Now I want to yield to my good friend from Nebraska, from the heartland of this country, from one of the corn-producing states, and he's another one of my classmates that came in, and that's Mr. Fortenberry.
Well, I thank the gentleman from Georgia, my good friend. I'm so sorry you have to leave quickly, but I understand. I hope we could dialogue a little bit and perhaps broaden the discussion slightly. Mr. Conaway just gave a great segue by saying, I think we can get this done. And I think that's what the American people are hungry for. A bold...
Well, Mr. Burton will dialogue with you, okay?
You got to go. I understand.
Thank you.
So you have to settle for me.
That's fine, too, my good friend from Indiana. But I believe that the American people are hungry for a bold, new, innovative energy vision that leads us to a sustainable energy future.
Under the Speaker's announced policy of January 18, 2007, the gentleman from Indiana, Mr. Burton, is recognized for the remainder of the hour as the designee of the Minority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Go ahead, Mr. Fortenberry.
Thank you. Excuse me, Madam Speaker. But as I was saying, I think the American people are hungry for a bold, new, innovative vision for a sustainable energy future. And I think we have to have an honest conversation about the full range of options in our energy portfolio, looking at the opportunity to increase domestic use of domestic resources in an environmentally responsible way, while also bridging to a sustainable energy future that looks at the full range of opportunities that are presented to us. And one of the things that I don't think is unpacked quite adequately, Mr. Burton and Madam Speaker, is the issue of how small-scale entrepreneurs can play an increasing role in meeting a sustainable energy policy. For many years now, by the way, I power my home by wind. Now, I don't have a wind turbine in my backyard. I live in the city. But nonetheless, I used to be on the Lincoln City Council. And Nebraska is a public power state. The Lincoln City Council basically has authority over the electric system. We greatly encouraged them a number of years ago to move forward on wind energy. And they integrated wind turbines into their portfolio. Of course, it's a small portion of their portfolio, but nonetheless, I thought it was important to support that. I paid about a little bit more than $4 a month extra on my energy bill to help underwrite that new development a number of years ago. Now they've integrated that cost and are sharing it with everyone. But nonetheless, we've been in front of this trend for some time. There's a hog farmer in my district, for instance. A couple years ago, Danny Cluthy in Colfax County, he just decided he was going to do something different. And he has 8,000 head of hog. He captures that manure in a methane digestion pit, turns that methane, puts it into a generator, and produces enough electricity to power 40 homes from 8,000 head of hog. And he did this a number of years ago by pulling together the capital through a variety of innovative sources, some grant sources as well. But his small-scale entrepreneur like that is helping lead the way in a whole new energy vision that does several things. He solved an environmental problem. He wedded agriculture and energy policy, and he created additional income for his farm. Small-scale entrepreneurs like that, I think, are yearning to be engaged in this bold new energy vision to help write the various chapters that we're going to need to help solve this. Mr. Conaway said it well. I think we can get this done. But it's going to take bold, new, creative thinking and public policies that I think underwrite this type of vision for a sustainable energy future. Now,
if I might reclaim the time just a minute, I'd just like to say I agree with my colleague. These new forms of energy, these new technologies are extremely important, and I'm kind of awed by the fact that you've taken the lead in Nebraska in getting this done. But while we're doing that, the one problem that I think we have is we have to realize the transition to the new technologies is going to take time. And while that's taking place, we're going to have energy. And that's why we ought to be able to drill in the United States and do it in an environmentally safe way so we can produce natural gas and oil here at home. And while we're doing the transitioning to the new technologies like you're talking about, we won't have to depend so much on foreign oil and what might happen in another part of the world.
One of the issues regarding our very heavy dependence on foreign oil as well is that it does entangle foreign affairs considerations.
Right.
And that's a very significant issue. It greatly increases trade deficits. It untangles foreign affairs consideration. It leaves us vulnerable not only economic but in many other ways. And so I think it is very important for what you're saying to look at the full range of options in this portfolio that we have, potential portfolio, and have a both-and discussion about how we bridge to that sustainable energy future by looking at, first of all, the easiest and best thing we can do quickly, obviously, is to think through the issue of conservation, how we become and continue to expand our ability to be good stewards of the resources we have, integrate these new technologies, use the resources we have now to bridge to that sustainable future. Here's another example for you. I was visiting with a small-scale car manufacturer. They have some proprietary battery technology. I'm not an expert in these areas, but apparently this vehicle can go 120 miles on a single charge. It takes 10 minutes to refuel it, so to speak, if you have the special equipment. If you don't, you can plug it into a 220-volt outlet like your dryer plugs into, and that takes about 6 to 8 hours. It goes 0 to 60 in about 10 seconds, and it has a 5-star safety rating, crash rating.
Really?
It's like a regular vehicle, except the engine is different. And so let's be clear, this spike in gas prices is causing great duress for families and farmers and small business owners, particularly in an area like I represent that I think has some similarities to where you represent as well. And I think it compels all of us to begin to think boldly and innovatively about how we can get this done by looking at that full range of options that we have in our energy portfolio and bridging to that energy future.
Well, I want to thank the gentleman for taking time. I know you've got to catch a plane tonight, and I think it's important that the people who are watching in their offices, maybe Americans who might be paying attention, that they realize that we're not just talking about oil or gas. We're talking about all forms of energy, and we want to get to that. But as you said, and as has been said many times, that's going to take a transitional period. And during that transition, while we're trying to encourage more innovation, that we don't sink the ship by not having enough energy to get the job done.
Well, I really thank you for the opportunity to dialogue on this question and to focus, yes, on the urgency of the moment while also creatively thinking about where we go. I mean, this is America. This is the land of innovation. We can get this done. And I just want to thank you for the time that you've allotted me.
Well, thank you, Mr. Fortenberry. Have a nice trip back, and tell the people of Nebraska we said hi.